What up, Footer Nation? Gary Hoot and Holly here. Welcome to another episode of the NYBS Radio Show right here from the great state of New York. I am super stoked today for this show because, you know, Carter has been doing things for years. And now, as you know, we're doing Project X. And what he's been doing and he's been finding and he's been talking about goes right along with the weirdness of the Bigfoot phenomena. And I'm super stoked to hear all what he has to say. As always, I have the cryptopunkologist, the #1 seller on Amazon, maybe #2. What, are you still #1, Kenny?
No, I dropped. I was #3 as of this morning. That's all right.
#1, #2, #3. You're still in the top 3. I mean, come on.
It'll go back up.
I mean, it's awesome. And you know what, Kenny, I haven't seen you since our last show, and I just want to say congratulations, man. I mean, I know how hard you've worked on these books. I know how hard on the backside with the marketing and going through all the process of, you know, trying to get the book to come, you know, full circle. And I just want to say I'm super proud of you, man, and congratulations, because you earned it, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, it's just, you know, the support from you and everybody else is just, you know, it's just been phenomenal. And, you know, it's just, you know, it's just, I'm a blessed man. So.
No, I'm number awesome. 75. Does that count?
That does count.
It does count.
Absolutely
it does.
Absolutely.
I've been looking up at you the whole time. So it's just kind of, I'm up to 75. Oh, God.
I'm going to reach down and pull you up, my friend.
I appreciate it. I need it.
No, and I love this. And this is a special show. For me, it's a special show because normally we have, you know, a lot of other researchers on the show. And, you know, yeah. Carter is a researcher. But what's cool is we have 2 authors on the show right now. And so when we look, you know, as a Bigfoot person myself, you know, I just don't have the patience to write a book. Everybody's like, Gary, how about you write a book? I'm like, I'll do a book on tape. That's as far as I'm getting with that. But, you know, to have, you know, people that put their heart and their soul into their writing, I mean, it's such a special thing. And it's something that, you know, not everybody has that gift. So this is special that we have 2 people that have done that. You put your heart and soul and work into a single manuscript. And I mean, and you're both successful with it. And I congratulate both of you because regardless of your first, second, 75, 100, you know what, at the end of the day, you took the chance and you did it. And that's 100%. What really matters, is that you just did it. Because a lot of people like myself, I won't do it. And I know I won't do it. So congratulations to both of you on that.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I had no intention of writing a book. It just happened. It was quite an accident. And
you know, accidents happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, but
awesome.
your accident is your accident is other people's you know, pleasure though, because, you know, people are, you know, buying your book and reading it and learning. And so it's again, your accident is helping a lot of people. So, you know, I commend you, you know, because again, I mean, it's, you know, like Gary said, you know, it's not easy. There's times where it's just like it's flowing out of us, and then there's other times where it's just like, oh, you know, I hit the wall. So, you know, again, you know, and you've been doing this for a long time, you know, your research and everything. So again, you know, I look up to you.
Cool, appreciate it. Same to you.
Yeah, we both do. So we're gonna get right into this because you can say it's not about us talking; it's about you, Carter. This show is all about you. So
as it should be. That's what I tell my wife.
It should be. Hey. Whatever works. You know, we're in the bro cave. This is the bro cave right now, so we're safe. All right. And once we get off of here, totally different story. But but no. So just tell us about yourself. Tell us about your background.
Well, my background, I was a rock drummer for about 20 years, and I did comedy for about 4 or 5, and then I realized I shot my wad, and I became a real estate agent for about 25 years. And so I still have my license. I do it part-time, and I do this full-time. You know, that's my background. I studied herpetology in college, and I was a nature boy. Like when I was growing up, I had snakes, crows, raccoons, turtles. I had a menagerie in my yard. I was just all about nature, just sucking it up, you know, never hunted, you know, I just wasn't into hunting, you know, because I was into catching them and looking at them and enjoying them. And so that was it. And 12, 13 years ago, I found a geocache strapped to a tree in Washington State. My wife and I had gone up there, and I opened it up, and I wasn't doing geocache. I just found the box because I was taking a leak, and I found this ammo box strapped to a tree. I opened it up and went, "Oh, that's that geocache thing." And inside was a card of a BFRO investigator from Washington State. So I had an interest already. So I called a guy up and said, "Hey, how do I get to be an investigator or get to be part of what's going on?" And so I went on a couple expeditions here in Missouri, and here I am. That's pretty much it.
No, I mean, that's awesome. That's awesome. And, Kenny's a rocker too. Kenny, you played what? Guitar, right?
Guitar and bass. And about a month or so ago, I mean, I've played the drums kind of off and on.
Yeah.
But about a month or so ago, I bought a set, and I'm doing 30 minutes a day on it. So got different exercises that I'm doing, and to get different areas of myself strengthened up, and my timing starting to come together now, and I understand the downbeat, the offbeat, so it's coming along. I'm enjoying it, and I've wanted to play the drums for the longest time. I mean, I've done bass, I've done guitar, I've been a front man, but I've never been like a drummer, and so that's what I'm going after. So I'm excited. I'm really excited.
It's a great journey. I enjoyed it. I almost made it to the mountain a couple of times, and had some very successful bands down in Texas, because I grew up with Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jimmy Vaughan. We lived in the same town, and we were competing bands and all that stuff. So I had enough of a pedigree to get my foot in the door, but it just, didn't happen, but that's the way it is. I got no regrets. I got some great memories, and, and if you're a bass player and a guitar player, you've got that rhythm and that soul inside of you. So it'll come out,
Yeah. And the thing with bands, it's like, the music business, like as much as I loved playing out, but I mean, you probably experience this, the music business can be a bit of a vampire too at the same time, and just suck and drain the life out of you. And that's kind of, to a degree, I mean, I've like retired stages. Like, I don't play on stages. I just like play in my spare bedroom now. But myself, I played on, in a bunch of bands, and I still don't understand how it happened, but there was one band that I played in that became really popular. We were on the radio, we put albums out. We were big in Puerto Rico. We have no idea how we got big in Puerto Rico, but we never made it out there. But we ended up, again, the music business kind of took its toll, and drain the life and the lifeblood out of us, and we just kind of split, and just kind of, I mean, we stayed friends, and I'd play in like little venues around town and stuff like that. But man, I'll tell you, it's just it's I don't know, getting out of the music business and just loving what I was doing behind whatever instrument I was on was beautiful. It was so awesome. There's no more pressure anymore, and so I'm excited about the drums. So that's awesome that you play drums.
Yeah, and I still play them for therapy. Like if I'm having a bad day or something, I'll go down and remind myself that, I could still play. I got about 80% of my chops, and so I mean, from having no hair on my head to having hair down to my butt, for a lot of years back in the 60s and 70s. So it's all good. It's all good for the soul, getting it out of your system or getting it in.
Yes, it is. Very, very therapeutic.
Yeah.
That's super awesome. That is awesome. I go run in the woods for miles and miles, and that's what I do for therapy. Trail running in hills. It's awful.
That's awesome.
So it's awesome. I mean, it is awesome until you get to like mile 7, and then 8, and then 16, and then then you get to eat all the foods. I mean, I guess that's the best part, is I get to come home and eat all the foods and not feel guilty.
Yeah, because you've already burned it off.
Burned it off, and then I can't walk for like days.
Yeah.
But let's get right into the book. So tell us about the book and how you came about. Like you said, you already said like it was an accident that you wrote the book. So let's get right into the book.
Well, the book started, I had we talked earlier about my aha moment in 2014, when I realized that they're not just dumb apes, and they aren't dumb apes. And I thought, well, I'm just going to leave some notes for my heirs or my daughter or whatever. So I'll just have all my notes all typed up. Well, I ended up with about 80 pages of notes. I was going, well, that's about a half a book. So I just decided I was going to do it. And I finished it in October of 2019. 19, I released it in March. The day the pandemic shut the country down is when I released my book. Good timing.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But it was the anti-ape in the woods book. You know, they are ruled by, you know, the physical laws of the universe and our planet if they're here, but they also probably have some other things, esoteric and abstract sensibilities we just don't believe in or can't believe, can't grasp. So I'm hearing it from so many people. You know, I've had like 100 reports published to BFRO. So I've been around the block. I've probably talked to about 300 people to get that number. But after they tell you the story that they originally phoned in, they're going to go, well, now here's something you're not going to believe. And then they tell you the good stuff. And it vanished. It ran right through my clothes hanging on a clothesline. And it went all through the clothes and nothing happened. It absorbed the clothes and went right through. You're hearing stuff like this. It's not like 1 out of every 20. It's like 1 out of every 5 is telling me some abstract, you know, quantum type stuff. And I'm going, okay, well, got to be something here. And so I started taking those reports. And of course, then they, on BFRO, they sanitize them and censor them horribly. They take out all the paranormal stuff, anything that's even, and I even hate to use the word woo, but they take out anything that's metaphysical, abstract, you know, quantum, any of that. It's just, they take it out of the report and you're left with mush. And then they publish it. And then the people are insulted because that's not what I told you. Yeah, no, it's not what you told me. And I'm sorry. I apologize. And I give them, you know, the email to go complain, and you know, it falls on deaf ears. So I knew I was onto something because they're taking it out. That told me I was on the right track because they're taking all the good stuff out of these reports. And some of them are like incredible reports. I mean, just, you know, everyday people, you would have no idea that they're going through these things. They're emotionally torn up. People have lost jobs, friends, you know, spouses. Of course, there's other things at play, but I mean, they're ridiculed and horrified and just into silence. And you know how it is. They just won't talk. They won't say anything. Well, my whole thing about getting that book together, as I was going through it, I started just putting more and more in it. And I realized, well, the dumb ape thing didn't even have any room in here. I mean, it's a physical presence on the planet, but other than that, you know, there's all these other things going on we can't explain. And so I'm trying to become a witness advocate. I want these people to read these stories that haven't come forward because they're afraid of ridicule and go, well, look, that's what happened to us. Let's call somebody. Let's call this guy. Let's call somebody and tell them, because other people are having the same things happen to us that happened to us, and we're not saying anything. Well, they are. So let's get it out there. So that's what I'm doing in the second book I'm working on, is the same thing. It's just more of it, you know, because some of the stories I've picked up since the first book are like, you know, just blow your mind. And I'm all on board. It's just like, you people aren't crazy. You know, I studied to be a MUFON investigator. I grew up with that stuff. I probably had my own events, but that's a whole other story. So I'm open-minded to all of this stuff. You know, like I said, you know, earlier, Gary, you know, you don't have to believe it, but you got to at least consider it. And
correct.
Throw it to the side later if that doesn't work out. It doesn't mean you got to, you know, live and die with it. You just, you know, discuss it and consider it as, well, that kind of makes sense. And if it doesn't later, well, then it doesn't. You don't have to hang your hat on it, but at least put it on the plate. You know, in the book, it's my Brussels sprouts thing. You put them on the plate, pretend like you're going to eat them. You don't have to eat them if you don't like them, but put it on the plate and consider it. You know, make it look like you're going to eat it. Because people want to know that you're listening and you're sincere and you believe what they're telling you. And I do believe that they are sincere. When you're looking at these people in the eye or talking to them, and you can hear the stress and the sincerity and the sadness in their voice, that's all it took for me. You know, unless you're a top of the line actor and yanking my chain, well, more power to you. But that's just not happening. These people are telling you things that have cost them dearly, emotionally or otherwise. And who am I to go, you know, that's not me. Let's talk about this. Let's get it out there. So, you know, I'm putting people in books now that are telling me stuff that's just mind boggling. They're just everyday people, but they've sat quiet for 10, 20, 30 years, 40 years, shocking. So.
Yeah, and I mean it's tough to talk. I mean, it's already hard to talk about Bigfoot in general. Like for people to come out and be like, "Oh, well, let me tell you about my encounter." Especially here, in New York, we have a big population of people that hunt and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I'll have like really old hunters coming out of the woodwork, being like, "Listen, I don't believe in this stuff. I don't this. I'm old school. Blah blah blah. But I know what I saw." Yeah. And I don't want anybody to know about it. And they're from little towns up in the mountains that, they don't want to talk about. We get this all the time. So it's hard enough for a normal, I would say normal person to come out and talk about that. Now you're trying to get people to come out and talk about a Bigfoot possibly being paranormal. And like you say, vanishing in front of you, or, the people that see Bigfoots and UFOs in the same exact areas. And there's reports that Bigfoot's getting put up in UFOs. They're stuck up inside UFOs. People see this stuff. And like you said, who are we as human beings to automatically go to them? Well, you're lying. All because it doesn't fit my narrative or fit my belief system. You know what I mean? Exactly. And a lot of us do that. And a lot of us have done that in the past. And I'll be the first one to tell you, because I'm straight up all the time and blunt. I used to do that with people, because what I was taught in the Bigfoot field, in the Bigfoot community for so long, is that you need to kind of think a certain way. And in the past shows, you've heard me say, I've lost really good researcher friends in the Bigfoot phenomena that I call like really good friends and I would talk to all the time, because I just brought up the one word. And like you said, woo, paranormal. I go, what if it could be some kind of interdimensional thing? What if? I don't know, because you hear the stories. Next thing you know, boom, I lost a whole crew of people. And that was going back in 2014, 2015. And I'm just like, wow, this is like a real thing. And that was my first time ever really experiencing the sides of Bigfoot, the community at large. Mm-hmm. So, I'm glad that you're writing books like this, because these people do need to be heard.
Oh yeah, they do. And and you mentioned a point about losing friends. Well, if that is the reason that I will no longer be a friend with you because you don't believe like I do, I mean, where would we be in the world? You know what I mean? That doesn't even make sense.
Oh no, I agree.
It's, you're peeing on my parade, and you don't believe like I do. How could we ever be friends? Well, it's not a friendship is something you feel inside. It's not like because you're a Catholic and I'm a Jew, so we can't be friends because we have different religions, or we believe differently, have different philosophies, half full, half empty. We can't be friends just because we believe something differently about a creature that nobody believes in anyway. So we're both wrong. You know what I mean? We're all stupid. You believe in Bigfoot? You saw one? Yeah, right. What are you smoking? So yeah, it's silly, and and I always think that they were not my friends in the first place. And I haven't lost that many. They're all. What I'm hearing is crickets. They're not going, "You're an idiot." It's just like it's silent. And I've got some very good friends in BFRO. I love many of them to death. They're my friends, not because I met them because we have a common interest, but if I wasn't in BFRO, which could be any day, they'd still be my friends, unless they want to reject me because of the way I believe. That's going to come and go. They're going to admit to Sasquatch like they did the UFO thing. It's going to all be over. The 2 or 3 people that have the bodies, the government that has the bodies, and the secrets, and the paper companies and lumber and Forest Service, they all know what's going on. And they're just waiting until they can't sit on it anymore, until DNA and technology catches up. How you going to lie about this? How you going to lie about this? Yeah. Okay, you got it. Okay. Yeah, we saw the Tic Tac video, so those are real. So we've known about them for years. So 80 years they lied to us about UFO. It's going to be the same thing with Sasquatch.
They just got to wait. Exactly. They just got to wait for another pandemic to come out and then announce it during it, like they did with UFOs, to try to take the focus off of it.
Yeah. So, but I'm not getting a lot of blowback, because I still talk to people in BFRO, just like it was, hey, what's going on? Went to the grocery store. How's it going? How's the kids? How's the wife? Okay, we'll talk to you later. And it doesn't even come up because we both believe in the same being. Mm-hmm. How or who or what they're doing here, it's the only difference, but we believe they exist. So why isn't there unity there? And that's what I'm putting in the second book is the disjointed mess that Sasquatch research is. We were talking about that. I mean, it's just, it's hateful. It's just hateful.
Yeah. Kenny, do you want to elaborate on that? Because I know that's always been, we talk about it all the time.
Yeah. That's my hot button right there. It's like,
it is.
I've seen people, just getting arguments over, somebody using the word theory, and somebody be like, it's not a theory. You're calling me a liar and all this and that. And it's just like, it's just so completely crazy to think, it really is. It's kind of like politics, it's just like, Democrat, Republican, it's just like, you either believe this, there's a line drawn in the sand, and it's just like, what are we doing here? Aren't we here trying to do the same thing? Why is one person jumping all over the other one? I just don't, it drives me nuts, and people just get so hateful, behind the keyboard, and that's the worst, I think, one of the things that came out of, Facebook's existence is it really showed a lot of true colors with people, because, you'd see people every once in a while, talk on the phone, this and that, but you really see it. And I mean, like, it's just crazy the way people don't even think nowadays either, and will just post whatever. And, I've had people where, I bought somebody's book and, they're like, oh, thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. And then like 2 minutes later, they're posting something and saying, well, if you believe in this, you're an effing a-hole or whatever, and it's just like, you're not even thinking about what you're saying right now. It's just like, it's like, there's no reason for that. That doesn't have to happen. And, so I just, I stay in my own lane. And I just, I've got my theories where I'm 90% on my theories, but I got 10% that I leave open so I can be a normal human being and have conversations with people, and I'm not going to draw any lines in any sand because I just don't think that's fair. And if I had done that, there's so many people wonderful people that I've met and that I've talked to that if I had a line drawn in the sand, we wouldn't even be friends right now. And it's just like, it's a crazy, crazy thing. But I just, again, I just stay in my own lane and just love each other and love other people and just keep doing my thing and support the person. And that's the thing is like, you don't have to necessarily support the theory or whatever it is, but support the person, and, give them support and love. And, because that's the only way we're going to be able to solve what we're out there trying to solve and get more answers of what we're looking for.
Yeah. What I'm in the second book I'm working on is we need to create our own science. Of course, that means we got to have a dozen people that can all be in the same room and leave their egos back home and just come to a common goal. And, if, science, mainstream science isn't of any help to us at all, other than telling us, the life cycle of gerbils or how to make a battery out of a potato, they're no help. So, and they reject it because they don't have a type specimen. Well, so we don't have a type specimen. We have like 95% of everything we need except the type specimen. So why not put this in your pipe and smoke it? Consider it.
Yeah.
And somebody somewhere, like Meldrum, he's close, but somebody with some pull and power will do a grant or admit to something. I mean, it'll happen, but we have to do it ourselves because it isn't going to happen, with mainstream science, and they got it all locked up. So, and I think that's an uphill battle in and of itself, is trying to get 12 people that everybody else in the business has to agree on in the first place, and then we all have to agree. You know what I mean? It sounds like something that will never happen, but it can. It can happen. That's what I want.
And that's what needs to happen. Actually, we had Todd Neeson last show 2 weeks ago, and he revealed to us without really saying anything, because we become good friends with him, that in a couple months, he said, right, Kenny? In a couple months, they're going to be releasing something that's going to change the whole entire Bigfoot phenomena, because they have stuff, but they can't talk about it. But they got it in the right hands of scientists and things like that. And without saying too much, he said, without saying too much, all I can say is in the next couple months, a lot of your questions are going to be solved. Because I guess they have something they have something, and they've been working on something. And that's all he would tell us. But hey, he told us on our show, I was like, this is awesome, whatever. Awesome. Because he hasn't talked about it. So, but once again, even if you do get this type A specimen, it just opens up more possibilities of possibilities. And I'm glad we're bringing up and we're talking about the community. With Project X, NYBS Project X, and all of our guests that watch us know what it is. This is kind of what we're doing in a very small scale of amateur researchers. That we're taking people that are professionals, I don't ever use expert, professionals in their field, and we brought them together in a common cause to look at the Bigfoot phenomena from a paranormal way, as I talked to you before the show. And we have, I have Edward Munch. He's our ufology guy. That's what his wheelhouse is. Mike from Long Island Bigfoot. He's the big paranormal person. He knows about the spiritual side of it. Mm-hmm. Joe from Western New York Bigfoot Research Organization. Will, one of my trackers, myself. We're all flesh and blood guys, but once again, we look at it from a biological standpoint. Each one of us has a skill set in the fact of what that is. He's all about, Dr. Meldrum is like his man. So it's like he knows all about dermal ridging. He knows all about tracks. He's understudied him beyond. Will's a tracker. He's like a survivalist type guy. You drop him in the woods and he'll make a house for you and live forever and grow you a whole crop. And he's amazing. But he can track anything. Like, the guy's amazing. So we put these guys together. But once again, it's like you said, we all have different belief systems. And even Kenny and I, we're brothers, and we can agree to disagree on certain subjects. Kenny's taught me so much about the stuff that he does that I would never look at, because I don't know about writing books. I don't know about any of that stuff. And something that I may look at from an everyday person, I'm not going to see what he's seeing, because he's looking down the road, Mm-hmm. So we bring all these people together for one common cause, use the scientific method now, because I'm teaching them how to do it properly. Because once again, I'm all in science. We use it properly to then just gain data. But we take everybody from different aspects, and we've done it in a positive way. We're like hippies. Love, positivity. Leave the garbage outside, because nothing good comes out of the garbage. And just do the work. Boots on the ground. Don't sit behind your damn computer and become a Facebook warrior. Just go in the woods and do the work. That's it. And that's what we've been doing. So the data that we're getting back, we're actually getting numbers. I'm a data guy. They make fun of me because I'm all about data and numbers. But we're actually getting physical data based on what we're doing. So who knows? It could be the start of something good. But like on another radio show that I was on, it's going to take scientists. And scientists just don't want to touch the field. I'm actually going back to college for environmental science to become a research biologist. And I've talked to other research biologists, and they're like, Gary, don't touch the subject, because you're going to be ridiculed. They're going to shred you apart. Yeah. You may not even get a job, because they're going to look at you like you're crazy. And you know what I mean? And I'm just like, but it's going to take science. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, that's what it's going to take. And it's going to take, and we know it's going to take a specimen. But Todd says that there's something coming down the barrel, so I don't know.
I've heard several of the rumors that are all kind of the same. So
so wait and see.
Yeah, and more power to him. I hope they have it, and it's not discounted and ridiculed.
It's going to get. Regardless if it's the best of the best. It's gonna get. We know that already. Even though we're probably excited about it because we're like, cool. We just want to see what it is. it's going to get shredded. I mean, it has to be such outstanding. You got to have a body. You literally have to have a body. I mean, that's where we're at this point.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. So our guests, they've been writing questions, and I want to definitely, get them in because they mean a lot to us. Footer Nation, as always, thank you for writing in. So we have this one right here coming in from Mike Patterson. He goes, how do you feel about the Nephilim theory?
The Nephilim theory, in those days, there were giants in the land. That's biblical. And I believe the Bible. I believe they are probably a vestige of Sasquatch. You can't discount that. Where I lose my train of thought is because of my religious upbringing, because it was kind of strict, and so I kind of go off a little bit, and I keep finding myself getting drifted back. But I think the Nephilim is absolutely a possibility, if not a relative or an offshoot. It can't not be. It's too many people write about it. The bones that the Smithsonian has taken from all over the country and the world and stockpiling it somewhere. There's evidence of giants physically. And so how do you discount that? Biblically, they're describing it. It's almost like they're describing a Sasquatch. The red-haired giants over in Iran, Iraq, and the Middle East, living in caves and stuff. I have to have open arms with it. I can't discount it only because I haven't experienced it. Doesn't mean I discount it, because too many people are saying it all sounds like it. It sounds like Nephilim, but no one's coming right out and saying they are. But I believe that there is an absolute possibility that they are Nephilim. And I think we don't know they're Nephilim because somebody's sitting on the motherload of information. That's why we're asking all these questions, is somebody's sitting on everything, and we're just getting little snippets here and there. And it's kind of, I think they're amused at us running around in the woods looking for these creatures and trying to communicate with them and all of that stuff, and the paranormal things, and the cameras and recordings and mind speak and everything. I think they're kind of amused at us, because, well, they're not even close. Well, they'll never figure that out, So I think the people that know are watching this, they might be getting a little nervous and kind of fidgety in their chair, but they're not doing anything about it yet because we're not on it yet. And maybe Todd has something. That puts a nail in the coffin, and it goes, see, there you go. So I believe they're absolutely in the realm of more than in the realm of possibility, more like probable. They are a vestige or an ancestor of them at the very least.
Yep. No, I mean, any possibility is a possibility. You know what I mean? And Pat Turner, to come back, he was saying, like, the Bigfoot community, we need more professionals. There needs to be more outreach to the scientific community, in some way, shape, or form. But now to piggyback off of what you just said, because we're talking about we'll say woo. I don't care. The woo of it is that we're in the woods, spending all this money on Zoom recorders, trail cameras, all these FLIR thermal cameras that are a lot of money. We all own them. But you're saying people are coming to you saying, well, Bigfoot was in my closet, like at home, in my clothes. Or, I can tell you, Mike from Long Island Bigfoot will tell me, he'd be like, Gary, I just have to go out in my backyard. So one thing that we've started doing in the NYBS and Project X is I did go out in my backyard with my daughter, and we did the Native American call blasting that I've done in the Adirondacks. All right. And I have a video, which I have to post. I've been lazy with it because I hate making videos. I'm not going to lie, Footer Nation. I hate sitting and making videos. It's so boring to me. I'd rather be out doing something else. But we do have a video of when we were in the backyard. Sure enough, we played the music, and after the Native American drumming stopped, and I think, Kenny, you've seen this because I posted it up on the thing, an orb goes flying by the camera right when it stops. Not even less than a minute, my shed was right next to there. 3 times something smacked my shed. And it's not coincidence, because it's all one thing after another after another. And then we heard an actual tree knock, and I'm like, yo, this is impossible. This isn't happening. like I live in suburbia. Like I live right in suburbia, like a modern day, everybody mows the lawn the same damn day. Like that's just the way it is. Okay. And this happened in my backyard. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, and this just happened last month. It was only like 28 degrees outside. There was no bugs. There's no anything. It's freezing outside. And I'm just, like you said, we've been doing this in our backyards now as part of our experiments. So maybe we don't even need to really go in the woods. Maybe that's almost a waste of time.
It might be. I mean, all the really good stuff seems to be happening in the habitat is why I go to the woods. Number one, I'm away from all the suburbia like you, and it's a time to get one with nature. And I take my TomTom. I take one of my TomToms with me and bang it out in the woods. And oh my God, first the silence is deafening, and then everything wakes up. And I get knocks and howls often from it. But I go to there because it's peaceful and you're not disturbed with the sounds and noises. 2 weeks ago, I took footprints off a driveway in a suburban neighborhood with duplexes. 7 footprints, muddy footprints on a concrete driveway 2 miles from the Missouri River. But it is in an established neighborhood. It's nothing like, it's just cul-de-sacs with houses and houses and houses. It's 2 little old ladies. Right in the middle of nowhere. I mean, right in the middle of suburbia. It's just like crazy. But 2 miles down, you follow a wood line, you're in the Missouri River. So it's not that far off the beaten path. And so they're where you find them. They go through dumpsters at Walmarts, wherever they're wherever the food sources, easy hunting is. They're opportunists, just like humans. If you were living off the earth, scavenging, like you said, what would you do for food after midnight at night? Get up and go through a dumpster. If you're not too proud, if you want to eat and find clothes and all that stuff. So it's not any different. They're like us in so many ways, except, they're bigger and badder and smarter, Well, that's actually a lot of stuff,
No, that's cool. So here's a question for you. Because we talk about this a lot in different shows. Is we believe that we hear about this, and actually I have data to kind of back it up a little bit. Is there's a connection with coyotes and Bigfoot? I mean, I'm sure you've heard the connection being in the BRFO and things like that, and doing what you do. What is your take on what that connection is?
Well, I think they have a symbiotic relationship with the coyotes. Number one, because they can speak their language, they can mimic any animal. So I think if a coyote's take down a kill or have something cornered, they may come in and take it away from the coyotes. If the coyotes have seen that they've taken down a deer, or Sasquatch has taken down a deer, they'll come get the leftovers. So I think they have a symbiotic relationship. It's kind of like the Native Americans and the Sasquatch, if you go back 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 years, where they were friends and trading, furs and food and stuff. And at some point there became a division and they had to go their separate ways. But, I think there's a symbiotic relationship with a hunter-gatherer part of, the coyotes, because they can maybe get to something a little quicker and take down the kill, but they can't drag off some of the stuff. And so the Squatch will come in and take what they want and leave the rest for them, or vice versa. I think they work together often, and I know I've heard them call each other. In between coyote calls, you'll hear a very loud coyote that's obviously, hundreds of decibels higher than the coyotes. It's mimicking, but it's saying something in their language to the other Squatch. So they're communicating, and they're hiding their communication within the coyote calls. Happens a lot here in Missouri anyway.
No, and that's always been my take on the whole coyote thing too, is that, once again, we talk scavengers. It's easy said than done. As an avid backpacker, we're in the woods, we hear the coyotes explode in the woods, and it's kind of freaky when you're out in the middle of the woods. Sasquatch, I mean, it's a dinner bell. You're just ringing the dinner bell, and here it comes in, and boom, off they go. So here's another question, because this is something new that's coming up within our team, is that we've been talking about, like, you have the encounters with Sasquatches and dogs. All right. There's many times we've heard the stories where people find their dogs ripped into two in their backyards, or killed or something like that. We've started to notice that, a lot of us have dogs on the team and things like that. And we bring them into the woods, and we're noticing that there is a different behavior that we may possibly get with the Sasquatch by you having your dog. What do you think that dynamic is?
I don't think they like dogs, Now, I've got a habituation site where they seem very attracted to my guy's dog. Him and his wife live on 300 acres in the middle of nowhere. And he walks his dog every morning religiously at 7:00. Of course, he's chained and he's on a leash, and even though they live in the middle of nowhere, and they come out and show themselves every now and then to my guy and his dog. And the dog just sits. He sits down and in a perfect sitting position, doesn't move until they have left, gone back behind the tree. And then everything's back to normal. It's like he's kind of in a trance. So you do hear all the stories about, a lot of dogs are just, the little yip dogs will go running into the forest and chasing it because they're little ankle biters, then, and that's it. Well, that's what you get. Don't go chasing after the alpha guy because you're not going to win. I think they know their place. No. And I just took a story from a guy that's mind-boggling as far as the dog thing goes, but that's a whole other story. But it's, I don't think they like dogs. And dogs don't know any better than to chase after them because they want to please their masters,
Yeah. No, it's like we've just been noticing within our team, and over the years, like we've heard all the stories, and I know once again, and someone said like maybe coyotes are like Sasquatch's pet dog in a way, And if we do hear the stories about the Native Americans, especially here in New York, we do know that Native Americans did have dogs. They had wild dogs. So I'm curious, if we go back into the stories, that Bigfoots would automatically probably know what dogs are, because they coming into the native tribe lands and they have that relationship. More than likely they would know that. So it's just something curious that we're starting to really see. Is there some kind of connection that like they just do not like dogs, and when there's a dog around, like you say, the behavior kind of adjusts. Like we had one of our ambassadors from Western New York, Bigfoot, Joe, who's actually watching. He had a rock thrown at him and it hit him in the back of the head. A small rock, he said. Well, he did have his dog with him. And I'm curious if the dog wasn't there, would that behavior even happen? Because I have had rocks thrown at me, but it's curious that whenever there's dogs in the woods, the behaviors kind of twist a little bit and they change.
Yeah, they do. And I wonder if it goes back to the wolves, because the Native Americans had dogs, or maybe they were the sort of the bastardized version of the wolf. However, they bred down into our dogs today. So maybe they learned to work with him and get along with him back then at that time for a period, and then they went their separate ways because the dogs got so domesticated that they lost that animal thing they have, and so they are more like us than the true dog that maybe the Squatch got along with way back when. We've domesticated and made them our little babies. Well, we've taken all their bite out of their bark, so to speak. And so I think maybe part of the problem that Squatch had with dogs is our fault. By the way they've bred down from the wolves. I've often wondered about the wolf thing too. Is now that they're reintroducing the wolf in a lot of the areas, I wonder how the behavior, of course, there's no way to monitor how the Squatches feel about it, but if there's any noticeable behavior, if people are watching wolves, if they have any interactions with Squatch and what they are, what they're like, or do they defer to them, or they just coexist and think nothing of one another? I don't know, because we don't have wolves here. So no, and in New York we don't. I'm sure we have stray wolves all over. They kind of just go and go. We have mountain lions and things like that they say they don't live here, but they're seen all over. But it's just things that we think about. And you bring up the interesting point about wolves, and people are always like, well, Sasquatch is the apex predator of the forest because it can pull things in half. But I always kind of defer on that a little bit because you're talking numbers. When you're talking coyotes, you're talking wolves, you're talking pack animals. You're talking numbers. So yes, a Sasquatch may be able to rip one at one point in time, but you have 5, 6, 7 coyotes. A Squatch is going to get torn up in some way, shape, or form. It's just going to happen. We know that. Even with bears. The black bear in New York, there's tons of black bears. And, you think that the relationship that they would have to have, like you say, it's curious. Do they stay away from a black bear knowing that the black bear
it's an equal predator in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
It doesn't have hands and legs and can move, with like dexterity, but still, you're talking about 1,000-pound thing that is just gonna go right through you like a rhinoceros.
Yeah. I think, one-on-one, I'd put my money on the Squatch.
Yeah.
But 2 or 3 to 1, I might lean toward, a torn hamstring or a couple of groin bites or something, because however far up they can get, But I mean, I think the Sasquatch's odds with a bear, multiple bears or multiple coyotes or wolves, goes way down, And maybe at that point is when they just disappear. I don't need this. I'm going to the other dimension. I'm going to cloak and appear to disappear. Whatever I'm doing, I'm just not going to deal with this. I don't have to deal with it.
Yeah. Well, here's a good question, because this is all because now we're getting back into the woo things, and this is where we want to stay. But I just want to get your opinion on some things, because like you say, you've been doing this for so long, and these are questions that keep coming up over and over and over, and our guests love to hear it. But Mike from Long Island Bigfoot, who's big into the paranormal spiritual side of the Bigfoot, he said, like, if they don't fear a man with a rifle, which we hear these stories, we've had people on our show that's pointed a gun right at them and just couldn't pull the trigger. They just couldn't. So if they don't fear, why do you think they don't fear that interaction? Because I mean, they would have to know what the interaction is.
Well, with a human and a Squatch, I've heard the same reports. I'm looking through my site. I couldn't do it. It's too human. But like you were talking about, when something told you to look up, they have a way to communicate. And I'm talking to people, and it's just where the infrasound or the mind speak or telepathy comes in, and I can hear all the eyes rolling now. But
not with our people. Our people,
they can control your mood. They can sedate you. I've been sedated. I've been totally confused with infrasound. I've been, and I took my wife to a research area. She was experiencing one thing. I was experiencing something else entirely. We were like 2 feet apart. We were being affected by the same force, same entity, whatever. But 2 entirely different results. So I think, they can take you out. They can calm you down. They can knock you out. As a guy I'm talking to now, he's been zapped several times. In fact, he calls a big set. Actually, this creature right here, it's on my book. I'm talking to this guy up in Canada. That creature, I picked that from Sibylla Irwin, an artist. And I had no idea at the time that this is the creature that he's been dealing with on and off for like 40 years. And it comes in. If he's freaked out, it'll calm him down. He'll tell him he's. So what my whole point is with your question is, I think they can control us to a point. You go ahead and shoot me and see what happens. You'll miss me. It'll go right through me. Or 5 of my brethren will come take you out if you do shoot me and are successful. And I think 99% of the time these guys tell me it's just too human. I couldn't do it. There's a couple of guys that have taken shots and have claimed to hit them, and they found blood and fur on a tree and stuff like that. So, they do react to the natural scheme of things on Earth. You're here on the planet Earth. If you can come and go at will, then you're still subject to our rules and regulations as far as nature goes. And if you can get out of that, great. Then you're no longer subject to our rules and regulations of nature. So I think they can control us if they really feel threatened, and they can be aggressive mentally, at least, if they want to. I don't think they need to mess with that, because they can disable you like that if they want.
Yeah, and I honestly would have to now, if you asked me this question, if I asked that question like 6 years ago, I would have just done the eye roll, honestly, in my mind. But honestly, like we were talking about, and what Carter was bringing up is, I brought this up a couple times on the show, but I don't really talk about it, was my last encounter in January, where once again, I was in the woods. Long story short, played CE5 tones the day before with Rachel. And sure enough, the next day ever since Rachel and I played these tones, it's been weird. I'm not going to lie. The woods, we've been getting, it's been a whole different realm. It's a whole different thing. Anyway, I was walking down the trail and something in my gut told me to look up. I was looking at, as I told you, all the coyote tracks, all the tracks. And I don't know what told me to look up. And I looked up and there was one staring right at me, like dead staring at me. And I still haven't processed it yet because this encounter, I don't know why it so messed me up, but it has messed me up. And as you know, I'm an outdoorsman. I don't get nervous about really anything. But like Carter was saying, like maybe something was telling you to do this. Mind speak. Something she told you to look up. And I can't deny that, and I won't deny that. And I can't really even argue with myself about it because I know what happened. Something in me told me to look up, and I looked up. As you've heard in the past, I brought up infrasound. I brought up all these different things that we believe in the Bigfoot field that does happen. And I've had infrasound encounters. I was telling everybody about the America's Book of Secrets episode where me and another investigator, we went way down in the woods and we had an infrasound encounter. But I did bring up the mind speak once before where I said like we were down, another investigator and I were along this creek bed in our main research area. Something stopped us so we couldn't go any further. In my brain, I saw a mother and a small one walking along the creek bed that's not even probably like 50 yards in front of me, maybe a little longer. I'm not good with distance. But walking along that creek bed, and she was looking at me. The minute she turned her head forward, we both snapped out of it. Now, the messed up thing is I was visualizing it. The person I was with, she was frozen solid. She didn't have that visual, but she even said, we can't move. After that experience happened, we went up to base camp, and I was like, we got to go. We're leaving because we were drained. We had no life in us. And honestly, the fear of God was put into me. The fear of God. And I'm not, once again, and that's an experience that happened probably back in 2012. We're going way back. And it's not something I started talking about until recently because I can't lie about it. It happened. That's a fact. If people don't want to hear it, then just change the channel. But that's a fact of the matter. So what would be an experience like that you heard that's kind of like, I don't want to say like wild, but like pretty out there that you're like, oh my God, but this is possible?
Well, the one I was touched on with my wife. Now, where I told you earlier before we came on about when I watched that Sasquatch disappear on my thermal, and I was leading a BFRO expedition. And so I fell in love with that area anyway. So it's one of my little research areas, and I can go there and probably 60, 70% of the time, I'm going to have something happen. I think the creatures there know me. They know who I am. I have a couple of witnesses that have had many encounters there. I've had 3 or 4 reports published from this area, specific area, Class A sightings. And it's the same guy and the same family and his cousin. So anyway, there's a history there. So my wife believes that I believe up until about a year ago, 2 years ago. But she was like, but she started seeing stuff around the office. She's going, oh my God, what is that? And, like that print I showed you and stuff. And so she's like, well, you might be onto something. It's not just a hobby. I'm not spending thousands and thousands of dollars on cameras because, I like to play with toys, So anyway, I took her to this area. She agreed to go. She camped. She's an old Nebraska farm girl. You'll go behind a tree and pee. She's, just like one of the guys. And as soon as we got here, when you park, there's a big, long, deep ravine. It's about 100 yards, and it goes all the way down. And when I told you that Squatch came around the curve, it goes down to this curve, but I came at it from a different area because it's just much more rough and rustic. So anyway, we backed my vehicle, SUV, up to the fence because you can't drive down there. It's really bad. So they've got a fence there. You can't go. It's a gate. We parked there. See my taillights, and so we're walking down, and she's immediately like freaking out. I don't know. We got to go. So no, we're fine. I know what you're feeling. I understand. It's infrasound. It's something. It's somebody's home. We're in somebody's house. That's how I look at it. We're in somebody's home. When you hang a camera on a tree, it's like somebody putting a camera in your living room. How long is it going to be before you know that's there? 2 minutes, a minute, Anyway, we're walking down there and she's just getting more and more creeped out. It's not because it's at 11 o'clock at night and it's dark and, there's stuff going on. She's just freaked out because of the vibe. I'm saying, look, we're just 20 or 30 yards away. Our car is up here. I shine the light up to where my car is and my car is gone. It's not there. You can see the tail, the red light. You can see the taillights. It's gone. I said, where's that car? Where the heck's the car? She goes, what do you mean? It's right there. I said, no, look. And I shine the light and it's not there. She goes, it's there. I said, no, it's not. It's gone. Where'd it go? And then I'm starting to realize that I'm getting jacked. I'm getting zapped, And so I looked down to where we're going and I shine the light and I said, there it is. It's right down there. It's at the bottom of the ravine. And then I go, well, that doesn't make sense. How can it be at the bottom of a ravine? You can't even drive. And then I look back up and it's not there. I look back down. There it is. And by then she's freaking like, we got to go. I'm freaking out. The vibes are crazy. Okay, I believe you. Let's take me out of here. And so I shine my light back up to where the car was. And there it is. I shine it back down at the bottom of the ravine. It's not there. So I'm being zapped and I know it, but I'm used to some of that just being in the area. I'm used to, that prickly, staticky feeling as something's watching me, the hair standing up. But I'm used to that and I think nothing of it. But at that very moment, she's getting creeped out because of the zap and the vibe. I'm hallucinating because of the zapping. We're within 2 feet of each other, but we're both affected differently by the same force. Totally bizarre, and I've been zapped before where I couldn't get out of my bag, even though I wanted to get out. I just couldn't move. And I heard this creature walking by, that kind of stuff. But that to me, that's just almost pedestrian, really. But this was 2 different people, 2 different physiologies were being affected, I'm pretty sure, by the same person, Squatch, whatever, and we're affected totally differently. Just blew my mind. That I'm going, now I know I'm on the right track. Yes, because even though it was uncomfortable for a moment, I knew what was going on, but I couldn't do anything about it. And as we started walking back up there, well, the car was still there and the feelings dissipated. Just classic.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing, and that goes almost weird. Kenny, remember this last summer when Rachel and I had that battery drainage thing happen, where I got stranded? Now, have you ever had, when you're doing with this kind of stuff, have you ever had major battery drainage of everything? And I'm not just talking equipment. The kind of, I don't want to give you the long story because I don't want to take up time, but at the end of the day, Rachel and I, my girlfriend and I, went to the woods. The trail cam we put on the tree, brand new batteries, didn't work at all. Okay. I took all the batteries out of the camera, no batteries. The camera starts taking pictures with no batteries in it whatsoever. No, whatever. No, and we have it on video. And this is at our main research area. So we do know that we have Bigfoots in this area. We get back to my car. My car's brand new car. It's not anything. We're up in the middle of the woods. The car battery's completely dead. Completely dead. So here I have the brand new batteries in a trail cam. The camera's not working, which I was pissed off because we went all the way an hour and a half drive into the woods, Mm-hmm. But then I take the batteries out and the camera's taking pictures. The shutter's clicking, but it's not recording any pictures, which I videotaped it, showed my team. Get to the car battery's completely dead, which there's no reason. There was some campers up there. Thank God, they're corrections officers. They go to jump my car. My battery was so dead we couldn't even jump it. Now, I don't have service where we are. Thank God they drove me down to get service. Thank God they were there, and I would have been fucked pretty much. We both would have, because we also had our dog with us too. And our dog is like a 100-pound dog. It's not a little dog. So long story short, have you ever heard of a story like that where it's not just batteries, but I don't even know, car batteries?
No.
What would you do that?
I have never experienced battery drain, but I've been out there very, very prepared and got nothing. And I had 1,000 batteries. but I've never experienced a battery drain, and not like a car like yours. I mean, yours was all connected. The bizarre part, of course, is taking pictures. You know, unless you have a reserve battery power in the camera that takes a few pictures till it just drains itself, which I don't know of a camera they make like that. You know,
no, they don't. I mean, a camera. You know, as a ghost guy, I know a lot of techie nerd stuff. And yes, I mean, energy can still go into the camera for at least up to like 2 seconds. After 2 seconds, if there's anything still in the circuit board, there's nothing. And that camera was going off for almost 40 seconds, nonstop shutter going off and off and off. I mean, then I can go into the woo stuff, I guess, and be like, was my car battery being drained at the same exact time this camera was on by itself? And, you know, because this shit's way too coincidental. Way too coincidental. But I kind of just put that in the bucket. You know what I mean? But
I kind of think that they were showing off for you. Look what I can do.
That was a stressful day.
Yeah,
stranded in the woods.
They didn't want you to leave.
No, but that brings up a good point though. Like I'm a big safety person. I always talk about wood safety. Like that's my main thing. People, when you go to the trailheads and you go to trails, we're never ready to have a dead car battery once we come out of the woods. That's something that you always have to be prepared for and have some way to be able to call somebody, because a lot of these places you don't get service. And you come out of the woods with a dead car battery, you're fucked.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a 10-mile walk one way if I ended up, and that would have been a run. 10-mile run one way. That's a 20-mile run to get back to Rachel and the dog. And that you're talking like that's like 6 hours like in the woods. So just be prepared of that. But no, that's just weird. So you've never had battery drainage. That's kind of amazing. Like we have all this weird stuff that happens, but battery drainage has never been one.
Yeah, it's bizarre, and I go through this stupid ritual of I have a lot of rechargeables, you know, for the FLIR stuff, and so I charge everything up. I mean, I buy disposables too, but I charge everything up, so everything is ready to go. So I can think of maybe 1 or 2 batteries here and there that just go bad over time because you use them too much, you know. But overall, I've never had that, you know. But I got other stuff, you know, like that thing with my wife and I, and other events that are telling me that they can do things when they want to whoever they want to, wherever you are. If they want to mess with you, they can do it, you know. And you know, and Mike Patterson had brought something up earlier. I see he's commenting here and there. I've had things going on at home when I'm 300 miles away doing research, and my wife is telling me stuff that's going on here. At the very same time, I'm having situations where I'm at in the woods. Once, you can throw it out the window, but 2, 3, 4 times an orb, you know, at the very moment that I discovered that I was being communicated with by some rocks left in Illinois for me, the very moment I saw that, I find out later that she saw an orb flying through our bedroom, and it flew in front of her and in front of our mirror in our bedroom. So she not only saw the physical orb, it was also reflecting in the mirror. So it wasn't like a floater in her eye or you know, some kind of, you know, optical thing. It was there, and it was within probably an hour of the time I was having an aha moment last year in October 2020 in Illinois. It's not a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. I do not believe in them, you know. And so, you know, they can mess with you. They can mess with all our electronics. They can mess with your mind. Your mind is just electrical charges, is all it is. You know, they can interrupt that and do whatever they want with it, you know. So, you know, I think, you know, they control that realm. We just don't know how, you know.
What's your theory then, based on all of the things that you read, the so many years of being in the BRFO, doing like all this research, like what's the theory that you built on what all this stuff is?
Well, I believe that I'll go back just a little bit. Teachers, the reason you don't believe and can't grasp why you decided to look up at that moment, because we've been taught from the day we go to school that this, that, the other cannot exist, and they teach us, you take 10 generations, that's 250 years of disinformation. So right off the bat, we're told this can't leave, this can't exist, this can't exist, this can't be. And I think that by being told that, and because I think that we all had powers hundreds and hundreds of years ago, maybe thousands of years, where we could levitate and communicate and speak telepathically to other people. I think there were so many things we could do, but we've progressed all of that out of ourselves. We have cars that take us place. We have computers that think for us. We kill the trees. We're anti everything that nature is about. And so I think we had the power to connect to people, to be able to communicate like Sasquatch do, and to do some of the things. And we have just had that taken out of us by education and technology. We take showers, we drink, our water has fluoride in it. Everything has chemicals and crap in it. The food we eat, everything. I mean, you probably eat a whole lot better than most people. If you're a runner, you take care of yourself. But that's true. I'm a lazier guy. But I think we all at one point had the ability to communicate and to care for one another and to look at the world the way the Sasquatch do. And we are destroying the planet. We're destroying each other. We kill what we don't understand. We shoot and maim and kill things we don't like or don't understand or don't want to. And so that's where we're at. And Sasquatch, we're just kind of like pesky little thing. What are you still doing here? How do you survive? I think we had that, and we still have some of it. Ron Moorhead in his book talks about the pineal gland, and this gets to another point. The pineal gland is how you react to emotion, and you sense and happiness and fear and all of that other stuff. Well, the fluoride in the water calcifies your pineal gland. So many chemicals are doing so many things to so many parts of our bodies and our mind that we don't have it in us to do anything other than live the way we're living by having everything else do things for us instead of us doing it. So I think we had that all bred out of us. And when you see something or hear something that tells you to look up, and I'm seeing a car that's not there, then it is there, then it's not there. All of this stuff is because they have the powers to do some things that we probably have and have lost it. Infrasound. Elephants, lions, tigers, dolphins, whales, they use it. They communicate for hundreds of miles, 20, 30, 40 miles over land. They communicate. Well, Sasquatch have a more, esoteric use for, infrasound, and they use it quite well. So I think we all had that. And so now we're the dumb ape, and they have the mental powers that we used to have. That's a theory that I'm starting to believe more and more, every time I say it out loud, because it just kind of makes sense.
No,
we try to meditate every night, and we try to, become one with the universe and relax our minds. But, there's too much crap going on, for it to work a lot of times. So that's my theory, is that, they have out progressed us. They've stayed the same, and we've progressed. And, we've progressed. I'll use that in quotes,
Yeah.
And look at the mess we've made, I mean, look at the planet, the pandemic, all the crap, No,
and I honestly, I 100% agree with you. And we've actually talked about this, recently. This is all new stuff we're talking about. And, we talk about it within the team. We really just have evolved too far now. And I really, just like you said, I back up everything you just said, because that's actually what I agree with now. Is that we've evolved out of these powers, and that's why we say their powers are supernatural or paranormal, when really, I don't really think they are paranormal powers. It's something that we've used to have. So we're just more in tune. You take one of us and drop us off in the woods, and we can't survive there with as well as we could back in the days. Because we're you could be the best woodsman ever, unless you're like a very independent person. Even the people that do that, they have feelings that want to get back home to the people they love and care about. So it's like it's been bred out of us. And everything you said, I totally agree with. Is this,
isn't that bizarre? Isn't that bizarre that we don't even know each other till today? But that is a endemic belief system. It's kind of growing. People realize, but we don't know what to do about it without giving up our comforts.
Yeah, and we can't. We get pieces of it. Like when you go on your expeditions, into the woods, and I go backpacking, and things like that, and we go off into nature. We get little pieces of that. And as you probably know too, and I always say this, when you're in the woods for a certain amount of time, you kind of just you immerse yourself into the woods. It's forest bathing. So like if you're stressed out as fuck and you need to go somewhere, go into the woods, because you come out of the woods so much happier, so much more spiritual, and tired half the time. You go hike, come back, you've had a shitty, like when we summit all these big 5,000-6,000 feet mountains, and it's a long 12, 13, 14 mile day, and the whole entire way up I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. Oh, I hate my life. Oh, this is fucking bullshit. And then you're coming down the mountain, you finally get to the summit, you sit on the summit for like 5 minutes because you're like, now I get the fuck back to the car because it's cold now up here, the weather's going to be shitty, or I just want to get the hell out of the woods. And then you bitch and complain going all the way back to the car, to the point where then you're finally happy. And then you get to the car and then you sit there and you're just like, wow, that was awesome. I feel great. I feel awesome. But you've gone through all those emotions. And I believe kind of what we're just talking about is that those emotions that we go through in the woods, that's a primal thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like we're tapping into that forest energy. You can believe in fairies. You can believe in all that stuff, which I do believe in, that forest energy. I do. I've witnessed some weird shit. But in the same sense, it's like that energy, it's almost like our mind and body fight it for a while, to the point of where then you just accept it. And you get to that acceptance. And on backpacking trips, and these people that do the Appalachian Trail and the Pacific Crest Trail, and they're in the woods for very long periods of time, they come out and tell you that, yes, they missed home. Yes, they missed all this stuff. But it's such a spiritual journey that they open their minds to stuff that they would never have ever opened minds to.
Yeah. My wife will always tell
me, I believe that's a Bigfoot.
That when I leave us, because I'll say I've had a bad week. I had some clients that were treated poorly by family members, and it just, I take some of that stuff personally in real estate and whatever. But if I'm having a bad week, I say, I need to go. And she knows immediately, go. And I come back, I'm entirely different. I put my spine to the earth. I've gotten away. I maybe have a few cocktails in front of a fire and talk to my forest friends. And every now and then they talk back. And I'm not hearing things. They're actually talking back. It happened the last time I went to one of my research areas. They were laughing at me and snickering and throwing little sticks and pebbles at me, because I said, all right, here's all my equipment. It's right here on my cooler. I haven't put any cameras out, no recorders. I don't want any piece of you. I'm doing nothing. But if you're out here, come talk to me. I need to have you around me. It was just, stupid stuff you say when you're sitting there, drinking a Fireball in front of the fire, But all of a sudden, I start hearing movement, and there's all my gear there. And I think they even know me, because this is another area where they know me. I think they know that 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's all those cameras. They know all the shit's there. And then I have these little interactions with them, and they're just throwing me, throwing little sticks and twigs, and kind of doing this little chatter and stuff that I'm hearing, and I'm going, thank you, and I'm supercharged. I get back, I'm gonna save the world when I get home. Then I get back, and the electricity's off of the house, and the moles are eating my grass. I'm going, oh crap, I ain't gonna save the world. I gotta save this little chunk. It's weird, but you are a new person when you go out. Like when you're running, you're probably feeling the wind blow. I mean, you're just you're in a zone. I know the feeling. It's the same camping. You put your spine to the earth. You get dirt in your hands. You get dirt in your face. You eat dirt. You're part of nature. You know, it's night and day. You can't even compare it. So a lot of people won't even go outdoors or camping because they bugs, ticks, and no, go out, get dirty, get stinky dirty. You know, experience things that you used to ignore. You know, so I think we probably are on the same page.
That we are.
We have bred it out of ourselves. I think every baby born has a chance, but as soon as they start drinking formula and drinking the water, it's all over. And the additives, even in baby food, and even if you're a vegan and you try to, but there's chemicals in the pesticides and the fertilizer. You know what I mean? We're screwed.
Yeah, we're everything.
So that is why I don't think we're in tune with nature. You know, that's why we control it, because we can't get in tune with it. So, I'm going to destroy it. I'm going to control it. You know, I'm going to control the weather. I'm going to seed the clouds. I'm going to, whatever. It's a mess. And I look at it and I'm going, I'm just not any better than those people doing the same thing that I'm doing. I know what's going on, but it's too late in my late life to go fix it all. So I'm just doing the best I can, but part of it is keeping the open mind. So whatever part of my mind is just been unblocked, thank you, whoever did that, but it's really the things I'm seeing and experiencing and the people, but I got so many things happening to me now, since the last year, a lot of odd things are happening at my home. And I talked to Mike Patterson about this because he has things going on at his house. And so I think some of this stuff is coming with me. Can't put my finger on it. Can't prove it other than there's an extraordinarily weird amount of things going on here that didn't used to go on here in our house. Yeah. You can write things off here and there, a creak here, a mirror falls off the dresser or something. Okay. But there's other things, and so, and that just tells me that I'm on the right track because this stuff wasn't happening until the last couple of years heavy. And since 2014 for sure, but the last year and a half since October 2019 in in Illinois, everything's changed. It's it's speeding up. It's speeding up, and I'm getting tapped on the shoulder all the time. Hey, pay attention. Hey, look at this. Like, hey, you look up there, look up here. It's the same thing. It's a nudge. That's just the guy I'm interviewing in Canada. He calls them psychic nudges. When they want to interact with him or they want to show him something or tell him something, he gets a little note that, oh, okay, what? And then suddenly there it is. There's the message. So people are chosen, I think, to communicate with the Sasquatch. And I can hear the eye roll right now in South Missouri from my old, redneck beer fire old guy that just is, there's a bunch of bullshit, Carter. You know what you're talking about.
But you know what? This is the way I look at it. It's logic. First off, everything we're talking is still logic because I'm all about logic. So it's very logical. I agree with you 100%. And once again, like I said, going back like 5 years ago, I've been like, what is this? But I agree with you because once again, all you're doing, Carter, is talking facts. The facts of what you are experiencing. It's not bullshit. You're looking at it openly. You're looking at it objectively, but only you know what you're experiencing. It's kind of like what I say when I do lectures and I'm doing ghost lectures. I can sit there and show all this footage of EVPs, of orbs. I can show all this shit. Until you have that experience, only you know what that experience is. I can't recreate an experience. I can't recreate a feeling. And one thing I just brought up within my team is, what if these gut feelings that we get, what if the first initial gut feeling you have about something, when say like hypothetically, you're in the woods, you see a print and automatically you go, well, that's a female. But then our brains get in the way and be like, well, I don't know. It's not following the path of blah, 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 blah. But and then we talk ourselves out of it. Like you said, the teacher way. What if though, we just kind of stop that shit, right? And just be like, listen, why did I even think that thought? Why all of a sudden that first thought that popped into my mind, I said it's this. But now it may be, that may be the answer. That may just be the answer, you know? And it's like we talk ourselves out of it because society has told us that we can't believe in anything other than what society talks about. So it's like it's this whole conundrum. But I think it's like it's evolution of an investigator, but not so much as an investigator. It's an evolution of a human that now you're just seeing more. You've opened your brain, just like, you know, I've started opening my brain to the whatever. And now we're able to see what's around us. And I think that's what you're explaining.
Well, it's like I was saying, when that thought comes in, nah, it's not a female, it's not whatever, because you're taught. It's not only what society, but the day you stepped into that classroom for the first time, preschool, whatever, A, B, C, D, there is no apes in North America. D, E, F, G, there are no flying saucers. H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, you can't do any mind speak. You're taught. And so that's in your little bitty kid DNA. And so that grows up with you. And then when you get in peer pressure situation in society, you're already discounting it, and you don't maybe even know why. Like you said, that is it's your reality. Nobody can take that away from you. Whatever you experience, if it's a Sasquatch running through a clothesline, it's disappearing behind a tree, walking through a tree, walking into your house through a wall. I'm not crazy. I'm looking at that, and that's what it is. Let me think of something that it could be. Is it Star Trek? Are they shooting Star Trek show here? No. You know what I mean? You can. The way you try to discount it makes less sense than just embracing it.
Yeah, and believing in it. No, I totally.
I mean, you're you know, like I say, it didn't have to be true, but it's your reality, it's your perception. And until you take it away from yourself or find an explanation that you really believe and actually makes sense, you can go to sleep at night and go, oh, okay, I was wrong about that. It's your reality. And that's what I'm running into all these witnesses is that, you know, they're seeing and experiencing things, and they're finally slowly getting the courage to come forward with the fear of rejection right around the corner at every breath, you know, but they're starting to come forward, you know, and that's what I want them to do, because somewhere there's either substantiation of what you and I see as we're out in the field doing this stuff, or the substantiation for these people because someone's listening to them, believing them, and then they go tell somebody that, hey, talk to this guy because he believes you and he understands it. And so that's how the word will get out, you know, while we're fighting amongst ourselves over who's smarter and better looking and all that crap, you know, who's got the biggest
who's right. Exactly.
Yeah, you know, all that stuff. You know, let's get 12 people in a room. Well, okay, there will be 2 guys left standing. The 2 guys that, you know, didn't run out of bullets, you know, because everybody else would be dead. So that's how it works, you know. So that's the whole thing behind my writing right now is I want these people to have the courage to come forward. I want other people to have open minds enough to at least listen to them, give them the time of day, because what they're saying ain't baloney. There's some stuff going on here. There is something going on, just pure and simple. I believe it, and I'm not even ashamed. I mean, it's just like you said, it's common sense. It's what's happening. It's that, you know, my excuses for it not happening are far less than the evidence that it is happening. Why do I want to hang on to that old paradigm of it's a dumb ape, you know, that it's an ape and they just have to be big and strong and we can't find them. Baloney. We're on Mars driving a rover around the planet. We can't tell you that there's Sasquatch here on the planet, maybe or maybe not related to us or a part of us or superior to us. I mean, come on. You that's just so stupid. That is just so stupid to think that way. It just blows me away, you know. So that's why you and I are talking, you know.
No, it's true, because like you say, we've been brought together from two. We would say I saw your work, and all of a sudden I'm like, man, it makes sense because I'm experiencing it. And once again, we're two veteran researchers who have been doing this for a very long time that now are just looking at things a lot more logically. And that's kind of where it's at. Like, there's just so much more stuff to this. Do we have time for one more question?
I got plenty of time. I've already had supper and I took a bath.
All right, hold on. I just lost it for 1 second because everybody's blowing the chat, which is great. And I think Joe mentioned about, I can't find it. He wanted to know about the string theory in Bigfoot. Like, what do you think about the string theory?
I'm just now getting into understanding, string theory. I don't even know if I could talk about it intelligently. Ron Moorhead, I've read his book about a half a dozen times. But the quantum physics, the one thing I know about string theory and quantum physics is that it is provable by math and experimentation. If you are to disprove it, you can only disprove it, and this is from a scientific point of view, with math and experimentation. You can't just say, we have no proof that that's possible. I just proved it's possible with math. You're going to call Einstein crazy. You're going to call, others, Max Planck, others, crazy theorists, Hawking. You're going to call them because they've proven that all of this is possible. Science admits to 11 dimensions and maybe as many as 21. How they come up with that? Quantum physics, string theory, and it's based on work that Hawking and Einstein and Max Planck and others did before them with, it's mathematically possible. Well, maybe let's take it another step, and it's not only possible, it's probable. Possible and probable are two different things. Possible, I can flip a coin. Well, it's going to be heads or tails. Probable means it's going to be heads, 8 times out of 10. Well, that's not probable, but you know what I mean? A probable and possible are two entirely different things. So if it's probable, that means the body of evidence is telling you that, it's leaning that way. I can't disprove it no matter how I want to. So, the quantum physics and the quantum math and quantum science, that's what we really need to be looking into, is the quantum portion of the science, because that stuff is explainable and cannot be disproven just because you don't like it. It has to be disproven with math. If it's proven with math, you'll be the rest of your life trying to find a mathematical formula to disprove it because it's already been proven. Why would you want to unprove it? You can maybe improve upon it, but that's the theory of the quantum and string theory. So that kind of stuff needs to creep into our research too, and that's why we, I'm not a big fan of science, but we do need somebody who knows this stuff.
Yeah.
And will be an advocate for what you and I are doing, and go, what Gary said, that makes sense. What Carter said, yeah, that's close. You know what I mean? But they can at least admit that we're in the ballpark.
Exactly. And their word means more than ours. I mean, it's sad, but true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm just no dirty hippie in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm just no dirty hippie. What do I know?
I guess, and I have ADHD and just run around doing lots of hobbies. So, I mean, that's kind of what it is. All right, one last question here. Alfred, he's saying about, he goes, when the Sasquatch is talking to Carter, does he hear the voice in his head or his?
I hear what I am assuming is my voice, because that's what's talking to me. It's like, you're a dummy, or don't do that, or look over there, look around slowly. But in my head, I'm hearing my voice. Now, I'm talking to a guy in Canada who hears his Sasquatch that he's been dealing with for 40 years. He hears his voice. He hears what he thinks is his daughter, a female Squatch that comes with him sometimes. He hears her. Well, that's obviously not his voice because it is in a different tone. So I think they speak to different people differently, but I do think things like you did, that one example, look up. I think things and I'm going, why did I think that? oh, well, I'll do it. Or something is telling me I should look at that and appreciate it and look at that and enjoy it, or don't go there. Don't do that. So, but myself, I'm always hearing my voice. It could be my ego telling me it's my voice, refusing to admit it's something else. But I'm hearing myself, the same voice I've been hearing for 50 plus years. So I know my voice. I know it's me, and I try not to listen to myself very often, but I do. That's a good question, actually. That's a very good question, because there is a difference, and I have not experienced. It's that alarm bell that goes off when you say, I better not do that. I better not step off that cliff. I better look twice at this intersection. And all of a sudden, boom, is that your gut? And that's another thing. Our gut instinct, our gut reaction to something is right 90% of the time. You should always go with your gut. I don't care what it is. It's love, sex, job, hobby, whatever it is. Go with your gut. That's the instinct. And that's part of what we are stifling with all the stuff we have around us, all the material stuff, and not being one with nature, and not communicating and loving your fellow man. But the gut, the thing that tells you something or not to do something, I almost always listen to that, and it pays off. It pays off. Always listen to your gut. If your gut's telling you that can't happen, well, don't listen to that part. That's kind of hypocritical, but you know what I mean? But your gut is part instinctual. It's born and bred into you. And part of it is life lesson as you learn as you go along, but I follow my gut almost all the time. I play a lot of poker and I follow my gut. I do okay, because you're full of shit. You're bluffing. I call it. You just know, just like, your girlfriend or your wife was the one. Or, that's the car, that's the job, that's the hobby I want. So it's a fascinating thing, what's going on in the mind. But, that was actually a very good question. Very good question.
Awesome. All right, Footer Nation. Carter, can you tell us where they can buy your book and how they can get a hold of you?
Well, you can buy the book, and it's Sasquatch Evidence of an Enigma. And you have to buy it through me. I have a Kindle version and a black and white version on Amazon. But if you want to buy the color version, buy it through me, and you can email me at sqexplorer@gmail.com. That's Squatch Explorer, SQ Explorer. Or you can go to www.relichominid.com. And that'll get you the book. And I don't do the color book on Amazon because it's so expensive. They charge an arm and a leg for color book. It's 200 pages and it's color. It's all slick, and it's not pulp. It's nicely done. But it's only $22 plus shipping through me. They'd want close to $35-40 for the same book, just because they charge so much. So I said, well, screw that. I'll just do it myself. So yeah. It's a good book. It's got good stuff in it. It's got theories and beliefs, and all I ask is you just open your mind and just read it and absorb some of it. And if you just can't get off, having an open mind, then you can't. But any human that reads, and not because I wrote it, but because it's just like you said, it's common sense. Some of the stuff is just common sense. You can't just discount it because I don't like it. If you be honest with yourself, if you like to lie to yourself in the mirror every morning, well, go ahead. I don't. I like to look at the mirror and like what I see and know I'm telling the truth and being square and honest. And if people don't like it, that's okay. I'm just who I am, So anyway, that's how you get the book.
Awesome, man. Do you have anything coming up that I know we're living COVID time still, but do you have anything coming up in your I'm
working on another book that's Evidence of an Enigma too, and I sent you the cover on Messenger there, and I may be writing a third book that is strictly about this guy up in Canada. I'm still vetting him right now, making sure, but he's legit, and it's just off the charts. You want to talk about crazy. If you're narrow-minded, you won't like this, but he's got a a lot of messages and a lot of things. So that's all I got. I'm not doing any of the Bigfoot, conventions or any of that stuff. I don't do that stuff anyway because, the COVID thing's really taking the sting out of it. So, I may be working on a video documentary somewhere. I just got an offer to do this today. We haven't worked out all the details. So that's going to be implanting ourselves in a very active area. According to people, so we're just trying to vet all the things that they say is going on before we, pack up all our gear. But it's going to be filmed, and it's pretty cool. But I'm just doing podcasts. I love doing a podcast, just connecting with people. Your comments are blowing up here on my side.
Yeah, I mean, our Footer Nation is amazing. The NYBS Army, like they bring it. They always bring it. But what's really cool is we're a very open-minded group and community of Bigfooters. So the cool thing about the Army is that it's not just one-sided. We brought a different culture, as I like to say, a different flavor to, and we keep it modern. We bring the twist. So even though we're getting old, we still bring that new school flavor. So it's and they want to know and they want to be informed. And obviously not everybody always agrees with what we talk about, and I don't really care. But at the end of the day, you know what? We're getting information out. We're getting the sightings out. We're getting the reports out. We're bringing guests on like you, giving a totally different view of what you're experiencing, because a lot of Footer Nation, they don't experience this stuff. And, and within the research community that we're kind of hush-hush about a lot of things, we'll talk amongst each other, obviously. But a lot of stuff doesn't get past us, and it kind of and it stops, and we all know that. So we try to just open the floodgates, and and let people decide for themselves. Because at the end of the day, it's fun what we're doing. We're out exploring, we're out adventuring, we're out just having fun, wasting a lot of money on a hobby to find some answers. And at the end of the day, who the hell cares who's doing what? Because neither one of us are affecting anybody's life or paycheck. Right?
No, so that's right. Absolutely right.
So that's the way I look at it. So if we're not affecting your life, just listen to us. And if you don't want to listen to us, shut us off and go watch Sports Center, because it's opening day baseball. Opening day baseball.
You can shake your head and go, God, that Gary and Carter, God, they're just nuts. What, God? Yeah, but I couldn't stop listening for an hour and a half.
Exactly.
What's wrong with me? Those guys are crazy.
Exactly. And Pat Turner says it best, and I'll just post this and we'll end the show on this, is open-minded doesn't mean believe. It's just the willingness to consider new ideas. And Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. Listen, we all have our belief system, friends. We all believe what they believe. Honestly, like I tell you, I'm a flesh and blood Bigfoot person. It's really hard for me to try to unlearn what I've learned for so many years by so many people. But it doesn't mean that I'm not looking at the subject matter from a very open-minded perspective now, because as you heard me talk about with Carter, there's a lot of shit out there that I can't explain. And facts are facts, regardless of what you want to believe. The fact of the matter is the experience. What people experience is their fact. And whatever comes after that fact, maybe we'll never know. Maybe we'll never know in this point in our lives. But at least we're getting the stories out. And that's where we leave.
Well, this was a blast.
Dude,
if I have to pay $300 to come on again, I will.
No, you're welcome back anytime, and we definitely would love to work with you in Project X. I'm sure there's so much that we can learn from each other, and which again, when we learn from each other, we teach the Bigfoot community. And the main thing that we teach the Bigfoot community is people can get along, chill, have a pint, and talk good talk. Yeah, and that's where we leave it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a pint. I may have several pints.
There you go. Well, have one for me, man.
I will. Well, cheers.
There you go. And give a plug. Joe, Western New York Bigfoot. Right? See, make sure to watch his podcast. There's his mug. Okay. All right, Joe, I give you your plug. Western New York Bigfoot Organization. Joe and Molly Show. Wednesday nights, 7 p.m. All right. Our next guest will be Molly from his show. She's a spitfire. And as always, friends, keep it squatchy. Deuces, everyone.
See you guys.